Hi everyone, this is Reema here, your biology educator from V-Learning. So as you know that V-Learning is an online educational platform where we provide quality education for all. So to get all the benefits from our channel, do subscribe to it, and also don't forget to visit to our website, that is www.v-learning.in, where you will be getting all the PDF notes of all these lessons. So let's start today's class. So in our previous sessions, we have already started with your chapter number 11, that is transportation in plants, right? Transport in plants. So in your previous class, you have learned about the means of transport and the plant-water relationship. So in today's class, you will be learning about the long-distance transport of water. How does the water or the mineral is being transported from the roots to the various parts of the plants, okay? That is through the vascular tissue. So you will be learning about how the roots are absorbing the water, okay? So this is your lecture number 3. So let's begin today's session. So yes, absorption of water in plants. So today we are going to learn about absorption of water in plants. So you already know about the various parts of the plants, right? That is the roots, that is the leaves, stem, right? Flower. So which part of the plant is responsible for absorption of water? The underground parts of the plant, that is the roots, right? The root is responsible for the absorption of water in plants. So first of all, let us see that what is root and the root hairs, how it absorbs the water. So see how plants absorb water. As you already know that plants absorb water with the help of what? With the help of roots, okay? With the help of roots, the plants are responsible for absorbing the water. So yes, along with the water, the plants also absorb the various mineral nutrients, the ions which are present in the soil, isn't it? And this needs to be transported to various parts of the plants. So what the root does is, root increases the surface area. What it does? The roots increases the surface area, okay? Increases the surface area. So the root hairs, that is in the roots, there will be millions and millions of root hairs. So this root hairs, it increases the surface area. You know that there are various means of transport. You have studied about the various means of transport like diffusion, okay? Like diffusion. Then what else you have studied? Facilitated diffusion and active transport. And active transport, right? Active transport. So there you have seen that these are the means by which the roots are absorbing the water. The roots basically absorb the water and the mineral or the ions following this various means of transport. So these are the various means of transport by which the roots absorb the water or the minerals. So see, roots absorb water basically by the process of diffusion, all right? And in the roots, what you will find in the roots, you will find various root hairs. So root consists of millions of root hairs. Root consists of millions of root hairs. Now see, this is a plant, okay? This is here under the soil, isn't it? So here various roots will be there under the soil, isn't it? So here various ions also will be there. So various ions will be taken up by the roots, right? Various ions, then water, okay? Everything will be taken up by the roots and it needs to transport to all the parts of the plants, okay? So to all the parts of the plants. So there what happens? The long distance transport of water, that is the long distance transportation takes place. That is from the roots, okay, from the roots, it needs to be transported to the tip of the shoot, isn't it? To the tip of the shoot Right, so here what happens, the long distance transportation takes place. So for the long distance transportation, diffusion alone is not enough. Okay, diffusion alone is not enough for the long distance transportation of water. So here it requires what, for the transportation process, okay, that is for the absorption of the water and minerals, it requires the vascular tissues, that is the xylem and the phloem. Okay, so for the long distance transportation, what it requires for the long distance transportation, for the long distance transportation, it requires xylem, it requires what? It requires xylem and phloem. All right? It requires, these are the two vascular tissues which are required for the long distance transportation of the nutrients. So xylem is responsible for what? Xylem is responsible for transportation of water and minerals. Okay, transportation of water plus minerals, water plus minerals. And phloem, it is responsible for what? Phloem is responsible for transportation of food, okay. So this is how the plant is absorbing water from the soil, okay, and this food or the water or the minerals, it needs to transport it to various parts of the plants, right? That is, the long distance transportation also takes place in case of plants. So not only diffusion is responsible for the transport, diffusion cannot transfer these molecules, okay. It requires xylem and phloem also to transfer these ions. Is that clear? So now let us see what is this roots, okay. So you already have studied this root and the structure of the root here, right? The root, you have seen that the root consists of various root hairs, the root tip, the meristematic region, isn't it, in the anatomy of the plant, that is plant tissue, when you have studied the chapter number 6, right? So see, roots. So as you know that roots are responsible for absorption of water and minerals from the soil. And yes, absorption of what? Absorption of water that goes into the plants, okay. That is absorption of water. The responsibility of absorption of water and minerals, more specifically the function of root hairs, okay. In the roots, the root hairs are present. Now let us see how is the structure of the roots, okay. So see, this is the structure which you have already studied, okay. Here various root hairs you have seen, right? Various root hairs, and this is what? This is root tip. This is root tip, right? This is how the structure of the root look like, okay. This is how the structure of the root looks like. And these are what? These are the root hairs, okay. These are the root hairs, and this is the region of elongation, and this is what? This is the region of maturation, which you have studied in chapter number 6, that is the anatomy of the plant, right? So the root hairs, that is the roots, basically has different this structure, okay. So it has got root tip, and these are the root hairs, okay. With the help of these root hairs, the roots are responsible for absorbing the water, okay, absorbing the water. So this root hairs, what it does is, the root hairs, it increases the surface area. More the root hairs, more the water will be absorbed, okay. More the root hairs, more the water will be absorbed by the plants. Clear? So see, yes, the root hairs are thin walled slender extensions of root epidermal cells. Now in case of the plant cell, okay, they also have what? They also have epidermis. What is this epidermis? Okay, epidermis is nothing but the outer layer of any part of the plant, okay. Epidermis is nothing but the outer layer of any part of the plant. It may be roots, it may be stem, it may be flower, okay. So it is the outermost part. That is, roots also has what? Roots also has the epidermal cells. Is that clear? So yes, and that greatly increases the surface area, which I have already said. Root hairs increases the surface area for absorption, and water is absorbed along with mineral solutes by root hairs purely by diffusion. Okay, purely by diffusion. So how water is absorbed by the process of roots? Roots absorb the water by the process of diffusion. Okay, by the process of diffusion. So yes, this is what about roots. Okay, now see, yes, yeah, we have done this. Okay, what are the various pathways of water movement in plants? Okay, now you have understood about roots, right? Now, so how the water moves inside the roots? Okay, how the water is moving inside the root. For going to your school, okay, from your home to school, you will go through a pathway, right? You will go through a way, right? So through that way only you will be able to reach to your school, right? So yes, in case of this, roots also, they need to follow a particular pathway so that they can reach to the various parts of the plants. Okay, so see here, there are two pathways. Okay, how many pathways? There are two pathways. One is Apoplast pathway and another one is Symplast pathway. Now see, what is this Apoplast pathway and Symplast pathway, and what is this diagram? What is this diagram from your NCERT? You remember you have studied about the anatomy of the roots, where you have learned about the dicot roots and the monocot roots. We have seen the various TS, the transverse section of the monocot and the dicot roots, where you have seen that the roots has got various layers. Okay, that is after the root hair, they have epidermis, then cortex, then endodermis, pericycle, and then inside the pericycle the vascular tissues, right? Yes, you remember this structure. Yes, the root hairs, okay, like this structure you have learned that. Yes, these are what? These are the epidermis. Okay, now these are the cortex. Cortex are the loose cells. They are made up of, these cortex cells are made up of parenchyma. Okay, now yes, the red portion, these are the endodermis. These are the endodermis, and inside you will find what? You will find the pericycle, right? You will find the pericycle, and inside the pericycle you will see what? You have seen the vascular tissues, isn't it? That is the xylem and phloem. Xylem and phloem, right? So this is how the structure of the internal structure of the root, right? So yes, see, it is all the cells. Okay, it is covered with cells. Now similarly, this is same only. Okay, these are what? These are the root hairs, right? This is what? This is epidermis. This is epidermis. Okay, now this is what? Blue one is the cortex, now red one is the endodermis. Okay, and this one is what? This round one is what? This round one is the pericycle. Okay, this is pericycle, and inside the pericycle what is present? Xylem and phloem, that is vascular tissues, right? So this structure you have studied. Okay, you have studied. This is the TS of the roots. Okay, of the roots. Now through this, okay, this is the internal structure of the roots. Okay, now from here, from the root hairs, okay, from the root hairs the water needs to be moved. Okay, the water and the ions, okay, the various water molecules, okay, the various water molecules and ions will be moving through this pathway. Okay, through these pathways. Clear? Through these pathways, and there are two pathways. One is what? One is Apoplast pathway and another is Symplast pathway. Now what is this Apoplast pathway? In Apoplast pathway, okay, in Apoplast pathway the molecules move only through the cell membrane. Okay, only through the cell membrane. only through the cell membrane. And whereas in case of Symplast pathway, the molecules, the water molecules or the ions, they move through the cytoplasm of the cell. They move through the cytoplasm of the cell. Now, I will explain you that how it is taking place. So see, this is the diagram which is given in your book. So see, this is Symplast, okay, that means it is moving through the cytoplasm. It is what this channels you can see, right? These are the cytoplasm of the cell. It moves directly through this areas. Okay, these are the cytoplasm. So in Symplast pathway, the molecules can move crossing the cytoplasm. They move directly through the cytoplasm. Whereas in case of Apoplast pathway, they move through the cell membrane. Okay, they move through the plasma membrane, that is through a thin pathway. Okay, this is Apoplast pathway. This is Apoplast pathway. In Apoplast pathway, they will be moving through the plasma membrane. Okay, they move through the plasma membrane, not through the cytoplasm. Okay, I'll explain you. So see, pathways for water movement. Now what happens here is, so see, these are the, let us draw the various parts. One is epidermis, right? The first one is epidermis. After the epidermis, what is present? Cortex, then endodermis, then pericycle, right? Yes. How it is? Like this, okay, like this. Then here it is like this, okay. Okay, it is straight. It is straight. It is straight. Yes. Okay. So this is straight. Okay. This is also straight. Okay. Now here, this is like this. This is like this. This is like this. Yes. And here, this is the plasmodesmata. This is the plasmodesmata. This is the plasmodesmata. Now see, this is not done. Yes. Let me draw it properly. This is like this. Okay, this is the cell membrane. Okay, this is the cell membrane. Okay, now the water or the molecules will be moving from the, that is, through the root hairs. Here the root hairs are present. It will move inside the roots through the root hairs, right? So see, this is plasmodesmata. This is plasmodesmata. Okay. Now, after the root hair, what is the first layer after the root hair? That is epidermis. Let me use this blue color. This is epidermis. Okay. This is cortex, then endodermis, then what? Then pericycle, and after that, this is what? Here it will go to the xylem. After the pericycle, where it will go? It will go to the xylem. Okay, can you see in this diagram that after the pericycle, inside the pericycle, the xylem is present, right? So it will go to the xylem. Okay, so xylem will transport it to various parts of the plants. Now see what happens in Apoplast pathway. In case of Apoplast pathway, now here remember, okay, here in the endodermis layer they have got one strip, okay. That strip is known as Casparian strip. What it is known as? It is known as Casparian strip. So in case of the roots, in the endodermis layer they have one strip. That strip is known as Casparian strip, okay. So this is known as what? This is known as Casparian Casparian strip. Okay, this Casparian strip is made up of suberanous tissues. Okay, it is rich in suberin. It is rich in suberin. Suberin, which is having the waxy nature. Okay, it will not allow the water molecules to pass. Okay, so here what happens is, so here, yes, it is full. Okay, this is suberin. This is Casparian strip. Okay, this is Casparian strip. It is covering the plasma membrane. Okay, it is covering the plasma membrane, and this is what? This is the cell membrane or the plasma membrane. This is covering the plasma membrane. So see, in case of Apoplast pathway, as you know that in the Apoplast pathway, the molecules move through the cell membrane or the plasma membrane. The molecules move through the cell membrane, not through the cytoplasm. Okay, so in case of Apoplast pathway, the molecules will be moving through the cell membrane. Okay, in Apoplast pathway, the molecules moves through the cell membrane, but after going to the endodermis, okay, after going to the endodermis, they cannot cross the endodermis. Okay, why? Because there is a Casparian strip. Okay, because there is a Casparian strip which is rich in suberin, it will not allow the molecules to cross this barrier. Is that clear? So again, it will come back here. It will come back to the endodermis, and through the plasmodesmata, it need to go to the pericycle. Then only through the pericycle, it will go to the xylem. This is Apoplast pathway. Okay, this is Apoplast pathway. Clear? So in Apoplast pathway, what happens? The molecules which has been absorbed by the root hairs, it goes, or it's transported through the thin channel, you can say. Okay, that is the plasma membrane. So after reaching to the cortex, they cannot cross the endodermis layer. Okay, because there is a Casparian strip, and because of this Casparian strip, they need to enter into the cytoplasm of the endodermis, and after that they pass through the pericycle. Then only they reach to the xylem, and the molecules will be transported with the help of the xylem. Is that clear? So this is the Apoplast pathway. Okay, that is the water molecules are moving through the cell membrane. But in case of the Symplast pathway, okay, in case of Symplast pathway, the water molecules, it moves through the cytoplasm. Okay, it moves through the cytoplasm. Now, which one is the cytoplasm? This space which you can see, right, this is the cytoplasm. So the water molecules can directly, okay, the water molecules can directly move crossing the plasmodesmata, and it can directly move to the pericycle, okay, and can be transported to the xylem. So the water molecules or the ions, it moves through the cytoplasm in the Symplast pathway. Is that clear? They move directly through the cytoplasm, crossing the plasmodesmata. Now here, what is plasmodesmata? Plasmodesmata is a junction which connects cell to cell. Okay, so it is connecting this cell to this, as you can see, right? So plasmodesmata is a junction which connects cell to cell. Okay. Yes. So in case of Symplast pathway, the molecules can move through the cytoplasm directly, okay, crossing the plasmodesmata. Now, when these molecules move through the cytoplasm, there is a cytoplasmic streaming, okay. Cytoplasmic streaming takes place when the molecules are passing through this pathway. Now, what is the cytoplasmic streaming? So, cytoplasmic streaming can be seen when the molecules are passing through the cytoplasm. Now this cytoplasmic streaming means the cell organelles, okay? Inside the cytoplasm there are various cell organelles, right? The cell organelles, they interchange, okay? They change their places. That is known as cytoplasmic streaming. So this cytoplasmic streaming can be seen in the leaf of the hydrilla, okay? This can be seen in the leaf of what? In the leaves of hydrilla, the cytoplasmic streaming can be seen during the Symplast pathway. During the Symplast pathway, cytoplasmic streaming is seen in the leaves of the hydrilla. Is that clear? This is the pathway of water movement. That is, apoplast means it cannot cross this suberin layer. It has to come to the endodermis. Then only it needs to then only it can cross the pericycle and reach to the xylem. Okay, and the xylem will be transporting the water and the minerals to various parts of the plants. So we are talking here about the xylem. In today's class, we are going to learning about xylem, how xylem is transporting the water molecules, okay, from the roots. Okay, in the next class we'll be learning about phloem. So this is about xylem. Okay, so see, yes, so obviously xylem, because we are talking about roots, the minerals and the water, right, it is being absorbed by the roots, right, and xylem is only responsible for transportation of the water and minerals, right? Yes. Now let's see. Yeah, Apoplast pathway. So what is this? Apoplast is the system of adjacent cell walls that is continuous throughout the plant, except at the Casparian strips of the endodermis in the roots. Is that clear? So see, Apoplast pathway is continuous except here in the endodermis layer of the Casparian strips. Right? Yes. The apoplasmic movement of water occurs exclusively through the intercellular space and the walls of the cells. Okay. So where the apoplasmic movement occurs? The apoplasmic movement occurs through the cell walls or through the plasma membrane, right? Through the cell walls. So movement through the apoplast does not involve crossing the cell membrane, okay? So it does not cross the cell membrane. So the apoplast does not provide any barrier to water movement, and water movement is through mass flow, okay? As water evaporates into the intercellular space or the atmosphere, tension develops in the continuous stream of water in the apoplast. Hence, mass flow of water occurs due to the adhesive and cohesive property of the water. So you have to remember this, why the mass flow of water takes place is because of the adhesive and the cohesive property. Okay, what are the two property? Why the mass flow of water takes place? It is because of the adhesive and the cohesive property. Okay, it is because of the adhesive and the cohesive property of the water, right? Yes. Now let us move into the Symplast pathway. So what happens in case of Symplast pathway? It is the system of interconnected protoplast. Okay, so Symplast pathway, as you can see, it is the system of interconnected protoplast through which the water molecules, it can cross the cytoplasm. Okay, so neighboring cells are connected through cytoplasmic strands. So they are connected through the cytoplasmic strands and extend through plasmodesmata. So see here, they are connected through the cytoplasmic strands, isn't it? And extends through the, this is what? This is plasmodesmata in Symplast pathway. So see, during symplastic movement, the water travels through the cell, the cytoplasm. Intercellular movement is through the plasmodesmata. Now what does it mean? So we have seen that here the water molecules, how it is being transported? It is being transported through the cytoplasm, right? So this is the cytoplasm or not? Through the cytoplasm, and also through the plasmodesmata, that is the intercellular space, isn't it? Between the intercellular space, right? Yes. Next, water has to enter the cell through the cell membrane. Hence, the movement is relatively slower. So, in case of the Symplast pathway, the movement of water molecule is slower. Remember this. Here, Apoplast pathway, movement of water molecules, movement of water molecules, okay, movement of water molecules is faster, okay, movement of water molecule is faster. But here in case of Symplast pathway, the movement of water molecule is slower. Movement of water molecule is slower, right, is slower in Symplast pathway. So movement is again down a potential gradient. So the movement is again that is potential gradient is also responsible for this. And symplastic movement may be aided by the cytoplasmic streaming, okay. So what I have said now, that cytoplasmic streaming, what does it mean? Means the exchange of the cell organelles. So when the symplastic pathway takes place, the cytoplasmic streaming takes place, that is the cell organelles, they exchange, okay. The cell organelles inside the cytoplasm will be exchanged, and this can be seen in the leaf of what? In the leaf of hydrilla, okay. Cytoplasmic streaming means what? Exchange of cell organelles inside the cells, okay, inside the cytoplasm of cell, inside the cytoplasm of cells, okay. So yes, and water flow in plants, most of the water flow in the roots occurs via the apoplast, okay, since the cortical cells are loosely packed. So in the apoplast pathway, okay, Apoplast pathway is responsible for maximum transportation of water, okay, for maximum transportation of water. Why? Because in Apoplast pathway, the cells are loosely packed. Clear? Why? Because the cells are loosely packed, okay, in the apoplast pathway. Yes, and hence offer no resistance to water movement. So water can move faster, right? Here in the apoplast pathway, the water can move faster because there is no barrier for the movement of the water. There is no resistance. However, the inner boundary of the cortex, the endodermis, is impervious to water because of the band of suberonized matrix called the Casparian Strip. But what happens is, here you see that it can move continuously, right? It can move faster, okay? It can move faster. But the inner membrane of the cortex and the endodermis, right? The inner membrane of the cortex and the endodermis, here you will see a Casparian strip, right? That is the suberonous strip, okay? Because of the suberonous strip, the water cannot cross the plasma membrane, okay? The water cannot cross farther. So we need to enter into the cytoplasm, right? It needs to enter into the cytoplasm, that is in the endodermis, and then only it can pass through the pericycle to the xylem, right? This is what happens in the apoplast pathway. So up to this it can pass continuously, but in the endodermis it has to pass through the cytoplasm of the endodermis, then only it can go to the pericycle. Why? Because there is a suberonous strip. There is a suberonous strip, that is the Casparian strip, which does not allow the movement of the water molecules further. Is that clear? So yes. Next, the water molecules are unable to penetrate the layer, so they are directed to the wall regions that are not suberonized into the cells proper through the membranes, okay? So they are directed to the cytoplasm of the endodermis, and the water then moves through the symplast, again crosses the membrane to reach the cells of xylem. Is that clear? This is the apoplast pathway. Yes. Now, water movement through the root layers is ultimately symplastic in the endodermis. Okay, water movement is symplastic in the endodermis. After the Apoplast pathway, the movement of water is symplastic in the endodermis because the water molecules cannot cross the Casparian strip, so it enters into the endodermis, right? So this is the only way, and other solutes can enter the vascular cylinder, that is the xylem and phloem. Clear? So see, this is the picture from your NCERT. This is epidermis, the diagram which you have already seen. The water molecules are moving inside. This is the plasmodesmata, this is the cortex, then this is the endodermis, then pericycle. From the pericycle it will go to the xylem, and through the xylem the water molecules will be transported to different parts of the plants. And xylem, what happens here? Unidirectional transportation of molecule takes place. Okay, here unidirectional transportation takes place. Okay, yes, unidirectional. So in Apoplast pathway it will be coming like this. Okay, it will be coming. So see, it is coming, but here there is a Casparian strip, right? Because of this Casparian strip it cannot cross further, right, through the cell wall, so it need to enter into the plasma membrane. Okay, and then it will come into the endodermis, then only it can go to the pericycle, and from the pericycle it will go to the xylem. Is that clear? This is Apoplast pathway. And Symplast pathway means through the cytoplasm directly. Okay, through the cytoplasm directly, crossing the plasmodesmata. Okay, it will reach to the xylem. So this is Apoplast pathway and the Symplast pathway. These are the two important pathways for the transportation of the water and minerals through the roots. Okay, so yes, we have learned about the pathways of the roots. Now, yeah, the water then moves through the symplast and again cross the membrane to reach the cells of xylem. And yes, we already know that this is symplastic. Okay, so we have studied this. Okay, now once inside the xylem, okay, it has reached inside the xylem. The water molecules has reached inside the xylem. The water is again free to move between cells as well as through them. In younger roots, water enters directly into the xylem vessels or tracheids. These are non-living conductors or conduits, okay, and so are parts of the Apoplast pathway, and the pathway of water and mineral ion is into the root vascular system. So once it is reaching to the xylem, once the water molecules are reaching to the xylem, in the xylem, as you know that in the xylem has got 4 elements, right? The different elements of the xylem are like tracheids, vessels, xylem parenchyma, and xylem vessels. So these elements, that is tracheids, it is non-living. Okay, so yes, it is non-living. There are various non-living cells also. So tracheid is non-living, so it is responsible for the transport. These are the elements again further helps the xylem in the transportation process. Is that clear? So this is all about the transportation process, how it takes place. Now let us learn about the symbiotic association. So in case of the higher plants, okay, in case of the higher plants or the leguminous plants, you will see the symbiotic association. Symbiotic association means what? One is depending on another, okay? That is mutual relationship, okay? So see, in case of higher plant, if this is a plant, okay, the roots of the plant, this is a big tree, okay, let's say, here in the roots of the plant, okay, here in the roots, these are all the roots, okay, these are all the roots. Now there are some fungi, okay, which are called as Mycorrhiza, okay. There are some fungi which will be living into the roots of the higher plants, okay, roots of the plants. That is what they do, the fungi, that is known as Mycorrhiza. Okay, Mycorrhiza is a fungi which lives in mutual association with each other. Okay, which lives in mutual association with each other. So what does it mean? Means the fungi it will be giving something to the plant, and also the plant will be giving something to the fungi. Okay, so see what happens. Mycorrhiza is what? Mycorrhiza, yes, rhiza is what? It is a fungus. It is a fungus which lives in mutual relationship with the roots of the plants. Okay, so this mycorrhiza, it has got a special structure. The fungi have got special structure. All the fungi will be having a special structure that is known as hyphae. So with the help of this hyphae, what it does, it increases the surface area. What it does, it increases the surface area. Okay, it increases the surface area. Now when the surface area will be increased, the water will be absorbed. That is, more water will be absorbed by the roots, right? So because of this increase in surface area, the roots can absorb more water. Okay, so the roots can absorb water. Okay, because of this increase in surface area, the roots can absorb more water. Okay, now what happens is this fungi is helping the plant to absorb the water from the soil. Okay, and in return, what it requires from the plant? In return, it requires food from the plant. Okay, in return, what the fungi require? In return, the fungi requires food. Okay, the fungi requires food from the plant. Clear? This is the symbiotic association which is seen in case of higher plants. So the mycorrhiza is a symbiotic association of the fungus with a root system, and the fungal filaments form a network around the young roots or the penetrate the root cells. Okay, so these are what? Hyphae. Okay, the hyphae have a very large surface area and absorb the mineral ions and water from the soil from much larger volume of the soil. Okay, as I said that they helps the water to absorb, that is the roots to absorb more water from the soil. Okay, and that that perhaps a root cannot do. Okay, so this is the symbiotic association which we see in case of higher plants. Okay, so next let's move into the next topic. The fungus, yes, here it is written, you can see that the fungus provide minerals and water to the roots. What the fungus is providing? The fungus is providing, the mycorrhiza is providing water plus minerals to whom? Water plus minerals to the roots, and in return what the plant should give to fungus? The plant should provide food. Okay, the plant should provide the prepared food in the form, in turn the root should provide sugars and nitrogen containing compounds to the mycorrhiza. Okay, so in the form of the food, in the form of what? In the form of sugar, glucose or sucrose, or nitrogen containing compounds. Okay, so some plants have an obligate association with the mycorrhiza. For example, the peanut seeds, okay, cannot germinate and establishes without the presence of mycorrhiza. So the peanut seed needs association of mycorrhiza. Okay, it needs what? It needs the association of mycorrhiza. Without the association of mycorrhiza, it cannot germinate. Is that clear? Yes. So now, water movement up in plants. What does it mean? Water movement up in plants. So water movement up in plants, it takes place with the help of root pressure and transpiration pool. Okay, it takes place with the help of what? Root pressure and transpiration pool. Now what does it mean? Now see, if this is a stem, okay, these are the roots of the plant. these are the roots, these are all the roots of the plants, okay. Now from these roots, the molecules, water and the minerals needs to be transported to the different parts of the plants, isn't it? So how it is done? There are two ways, okay, that is the root pressure and the transpiration pull. So see, this is the root which I have said. These are the roots which I have said, right? These are the roots, okay. So here what creates is transpiration pull, that is the root pressure. First one we are learning is root pressure. Now how root pressure is moving the molecules upwards, okay. So see here in the soil, okay, this is the soil, that is the water is moving, let me take this color, water molecules are moving, okay, will be inside the roots, okay, will be moving inside the roots. Now when this ions comes along with the water molecules, there will be generation of pressure, okay, that is there will be creation of pressure, clear. So this ions also will be coming here along the water molecules, so now they cannot move freely. These water molecules now they cannot move freely, as we have learned in the previous class about the water potential, right, and the pressure gradient. So see here the pressure will be created. Now these water molecules are mixed with the ions or the solutes, okay, so they are not free to move. The kinetic energy will be less here, right, so they cannot move through the various parts of the plant. So here what requires is they get little bit push from the roots, okay, little bit push they get, okay, but the push is only limited, okay, but further all these molecules, how it is being transported, all these molecules are transported with the help of this transpiration pull, okay. These molecules are further transmitted through the transpiration pull, okay, through the transpiration pull, okay. So these two, that is the root pressure and transpiration pull, are responsible for the movement of water molecules up. Do you understand what is this up? Up means what? From the roots to various parts of the plants. From the roots, see, up, right? From the roots to various parts of the plants. That is, here the molecules are present in higher concentration or not. So we have learned in diffusion that roots are responsible to transfer the molecules by the process of diffusion, right? So here what happens in diffusion? That is movement of molecules from higher concentration to lower concentration, right? Through gradient, that is it also depends upon the gradients, right? So here the ions are in higher concentration, the molecules are in higher concentration, right? Here the molecules are high, so it is moving to all the different parts, that is this is the stem, right? Here that is the molecules are lower concentration, that is by the process of diffusion. It is happening how? By the process of diffusion. Is that clear? So that is the root pressure is important, and transpiration pull, what I have explained here, is important for the movement of these molecules up into the various parts of the plants. Now, yes, water movement up in plants, which we have already seen here, okay. This is the diagram. Okay, this is the diagram which I have drawn here. That is, here various ions are present, okay. Ions are present, so these ions also will come along with the water molecules, right? Along with the water molecules, the ions also come, so it generates what? Root pressure, that is pressure generates, and the water molecules need to be transported through the transpiration pool. So this is how the water molecules are moving up in the plants, okay. So see, root pressure. What is this root pressure? As various ions from the soil are actively transported into vascular tissues of the roots, water follows and increases the pressure inside the xylem. This positive pressure is called the root pressure. So remember here, as we have seen that along with the ions or along with the water, that is along with the water, various ions also coming and going inside the roots, right? Going inside the roots, so it is creating pressure. So you remember always that root pressure is always positive, okay? Root pressure is always positive. Root pressure is always positive. So this is what the root pressure is. Here you have seen, right? So when the ions from the soil are actively transported, so when the ions are also transported along with the water, it creates what? It creates tension, it creates pressure, okay? So yes, so it increases the pressure inside the xylem, and this positive pressure is called root pressure. Now what is this guttation? Now what is this guttation? Let us see here. Yes. Now, near the roots, okay, near the roots, the leaves, okay, the leaves which will be present near the roots, the leaves which will be present near the roots, what they do is they release water through the tip, okay, through the tip of the veins. They release water. What are this? These are water, okay? So what is this guttation? It is seen in case of the leaves which is present near the roots of the plants, okay? So they release water through the veins of the leaf. As you know that this is the tip, right? And this is what? This is the midrib, right? And these are what? These are the veins, isn't it? So through the tip of the leaf, okay? Through the tip of the leaf, okay, yes, through the tip of the leaf they release water, okay, and this water is in the form of liquid phase, okay. It is not the transpiration. It is not transpiration. Guttation and transpiration is different. In case of guttation, the water released is in the liquid phase, okay, and here stomata is not involved, okay. Here stomata is not involved, okay, is not involved. Clear? So that process is known as guttation. So see, water moves out. It is first lost from the cytoplasm and then from the vacuole. And the water, when drawn out of the cell through diffusion into the extracellular fluid, causes the protoplast to shrink away from the walls. This cell is said to be plasmolysed, okay. So in case of guttation, okay, what happens? The water first gets released from the cytoplasm. Now you know that inside the cell, this is the cell. So cell has got a vacuole and these are all the cytoplasm. So this is the vacuole, right? This is the vacuole and this is the cytoplasm, right? So water first gets released from what? Water first moves out from the cytoplasm. From the cytoplasm, that is from here. From the cytoplasm, the water will be moving out, right? Then from the vacuole, okay? Then from the vacuole. As a result, what happens? The cell shrinks here, okay? The fluid causes the protoplast to shrink, okay? And yeah, this cell is now said to be plasmolysed. Yes, now you have seen that what is root pressure. Now let us see what is transpiration pull. Transpiration pull is nothing but the pull which is created in order to move the water molecules in an upward direction, okay. So what it does in transpiration pull, the roots, okay, these are the roots, okay. So this is the stem, right? The xylem will be moving the molecules from the roots, pulling the molecules from the roots, right, in an upward direction, okay, in an upward direction. This is called as transpiration pull, okay, pulling the molecules from the roots to the various parts of the plant. So this is the root, right, this is the root. So is that clear? The water is mainly pulled through the plant, and that driving force for this process is transpiration from the leaves. So here for the transpiration pool, what is necessary? Transpiration is very much necessary. Transpiration. Now you know already what is transpiration. Transpiration is nothing but what the transpiration is, the loss of water from the leaves of the plants, right? So transpiration is what? Transpiration is loss of water from the leaves of the plants through the stomata. So here stomata is involved, right? This is transpiration pool. Okay, it is referred to as the cohesion tension transpiration pool model of water transport. Okay, so it is referred to as cohesion transport model. So this is all about it. In today's class, we have learned about what? We have learned about how the water is being transported through the roots and how it reaches to the xylem and how it is being carried up to different parts of the plants through the root pressure and through the transpiration pool, right? So in the next class, we will be learning about the phloem, that how the prepared food reaches to various parts of the plants, and also we will learn the transpiration process in detail. Okay, so I hope you have understood what is being discussed in today's session. So if you like this video, do like it and also share it with your friends. So I'll meet you in my next class. Till then, take care and bye bye.